just like the wind, and wild as the wind. Give me more than one caress, satisfy this hungriness. Let the wind blow through your heart, for wild is the wind. Touch me, I hear the sound of mandolins. You kiss me, with your kiss my life begins. You spring to me, all things to me. Don't you know your life itself, like a leaf clings to a tree? Oh, my darling, cling to me, for we're creatures of the wind, and wild is the wind. You touch me, I hear the sound of mandolins. You kiss me, with your kiss my life begins. You spring to me, all things to me. Don't you know your life itself, like a leaf clings to a tree? Oh, my darling, cling to me, for we're creatures of the wind, and wild is the wind, wild is the wind, wild is the wind, wild is the wind.
Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of The Human Show. I'm your host, Stephanie Rearick, and I'm very happy to be here at Cafe Coda in Madison, Wisconsin. So thanks for everybody. The formula for The Human Show will involve me starting with a song that sets up the theme for the evening. And this evening's theme is our celebration of Black History Month. Yes, it's 1 month out of the year that we celebrate Black history, and until that changes, very soon, hopefully, when we celebrate a shared history that we're proud and happy to celebrate together. We celebrate for 1 month out of the year Black History Month, and I've also noticed that last time I played a show here on International Women's Day. So here we are, and I'm really excited to celebrate some of the people who have inspired me and continue to inspire me. So that song, of course, celebrates the great Nina Simone, who recorded the quintessential version of that song, Wild as the Wind. And also when I play that, it celebrates a living hero of mine, artist in Chicago, Marvin Tate, who's the reason I learned that song, because he set up some tribute shows, a tribute show to Nina Simone, and gave me the honor of playing at it. I also celebrate Hannah John Taylor, our host here at Cafe Coda, and the whole establishment he's built. So look for future episodes of The Human Show where we interview Hannah John Taylor and some of our local heroes here. And to get us started off, we're going to hear a little bit about people's perceptions of some of our Black history, local and global, with some brother on the beat.
Most of the people who are living here were outside sleeping in tents, or they were at the shelters. The vision that we have is that people can get together, work together to be able to create a sustainable future for themselves. Everybody sort of benefits from the skills and the labor and the knowledge that everybody has. It's been a little bit crazy. You know, we had this idea at the end of September, and our goal was to get it done by the end of the year. It was probably mission impossible. It was the complete whirlwind, and we're only off by 2 weeks, so I consider that a huge success. If we would have put this plan on paper, people would have said that it was impossible to do. We've now built 21, or actually 26 different houses. We've only got 7 left to build. We are in the middle of doing the renovations here, and we're doing a lot of that work ourselves as well. Right now we've got 14 people who are living here at this point, and then there's 5 people who are guests over at our other village right now, so there's 19 people off the streets.
My barriers of getting a house right now is credit and background. Everybody wants 3 times the rent or 2 times the rent, and not a lot of places are hiring, so.
For the people who will be living here, this is them, and I've just been really surprised by how willing to learn, willing to help pitch in, and willing to make this happen from the residents that will be living here.
It will build my credit, pay off my prior debt. Overall, just make sure that I can be self-sufficient.
The community has been outstanding so far. There's quite a bit of money. People have dropped off sheets and blankets and pillows and all kinds of welcome living here. People continue to drop by and drop off food and all kinds of other items for the people who live here. And then, of course, we've had hundreds of people who have helped build the houses as well. We run 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3 shifts. But, you know, we're running pretty much, 7 days a week. Shifts where people are building the houses, either building components or actually putting the houses together. And then when they get here, we kind of put the finishing touches on them. So we've had over 1,000 people volunteer or donate so far. And, you know, it's just been a really cool thing to see the community come together sort of spontaneously and make this happen.
Welcome back to the Human Show, or I guess we're still in the Human Show. We will hear from more other humans in a minute. I am very blessed for my day job to be working with Humans Global Cooperative. So it's Humans United and Mutual Aid Networks. And the Humans of the World segment is highlighting cool people and projects in different places around the world. And we all do work together in different ways of mutual aid, so we just support each other. And so we're gonna start off by hearing from dear friend, and he's also part of the Humans Mutual Aid Network Board of Directors, Blair Anderson, original Black Panther from Detroit.
Let's have our team introduce ourselves here. These two young women are deputized Black Panthers by the original Black Panthers of Detroit and Chicago. Their deputization was to a position of honor guard for a number for burial of a highly renowned and respected comrade. And we also represent diversity, direct community action, and with a political analysis and a class analysis as primary guidance in our actions. So please introduce yourselves.
Okay, well, I'm Miss Dana, and I've been working on the project building with the Detroit Historical Project for a little bit, about a year and a half now. And this is I'm just honored. I'm honored to work on a number of passion projects with Blair and the team, learning more about the political sides of things is something new to me. And so that's actually why, you know, we're going to be working together really closely, Stephanie. But yes, getting the message out. It was something that you had said earlier with the internet activists. I feel that we definitely need to tackle the media in a strategic way. So learning that process, how to do that, and also be just as efficient online as we are, you know, with dealing offline is very important. So again, everything has just been an experience, and I'm here for all of it. And actually, I'm acting as the executive coordinator, programs coordinator right now. So I'm learning a lot, and I'm here for it. And here we are.
Hello, I'm Sahar. I come from a background of organizing around the Palestinian issue in Arab communities for a couple years. And this past summer, after the murder of George Floyd, a movement called Detroit Will Breathe formed in Detroit, where we were protesting consecutively for more than 100 days in the streets and doing different actions and community engagement and political learning and reading. And that's how I met Baba Blair, from those protests in the movement, and just working within the Black community and working within this intersection has just been a real big blessing, and learning as we go.
Okay, so I'm Blair Anderson, one of the original Black Panthers out of Chicago. I was one of the Panthers who was in the apartment with Fred Hampton, December 4th, 1969, when Fred Hampton and Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panthers and our defense captain, Deputy Defense Captain Mark Clark, were assassinated. So I was there that night. I was one of the young men, one of the number of people who were wounded and beat and terrified that night. And so from that point to now, I was a political prisoner doing 2 separate felony sentences, gun-related, for over 36 years. And I've been home or free from that slavery to back to the battlefield now for approximately 8 years. And as I re-entered society, or after I did, and took assessment of especially millennials, but of our movement, I came to the conclusion that we're nowhere near losing. We're winning this. We got this. We just simply must press forward with our best intentions, with our experiments, and understand that revolution is about science. It's about analysis. It's about analyzing the concrete phenomenon that you choose to, that you're compelled to approach, and figuring out how to balance it or imbalance it. Sometimes we don't build nothing. Sometimes we just, create a void, abolish the police. I'll take the chaos for a minute. We'll straighten it out, Sometimes we are reformists because reform can save lives today. Ultimately, we know that the system, and I know personally, after 36 years of incarceration and seeing hundreds of thousands of men released from cells every day, tens of thousands of them for life sentences in cages, in chains, with men and women in gun towers, shooting for sport. So we know that chattel slavery of 158 years ago has morphed into institutionalized slavery, where the poor of all races are simply institutionalized. And then every measure of their existence is given a value, and it's billed for. Every child held in those detention centers on Mexican borders meant millions of dollars for other people. Every man, woman, and child in the mass incarceration of the United States is a slave. There's a charge for the fresh air in prison, the water supplied to prisoners. There's a charge for the guards, and it supports their communities. It's slavery. It's slavery. And often it's of the worst of us to their deaths. And that perverts all of society. When we stop trying to restore and we just decide to destroy and then profit from that destruction. Whew. Abolish the prison system. All power to the people. About 8.5 years ago, I came home from prison. I had served 26 calendar years in prison behind bars. And I had survived, as prisoners do, on dreams, memories. And so my second day out, I insisted that somebody take me to the neighborhood that I had first came to in Detroit. And so as we drove through the city, I was like, wow, looking at how devastated it was. And I was like, wow. And I just kept thinking, I can't wait till I get back to the block. And so we drove up to the block, and I knew I was on the right block because there was a factory and an old gas station there. And my car had been repaired in that gas station many a times. We turned the corner from the blind side of the factory, and 48 houses, only 2 were left. Not one person. There were tumbleweeds. I was 3 days out of prison. And whatever I had decided I wanted to try to do with my life, after decades, I realized what the everyday American has normalized. My whole block was gone. There was no rubble, not a dog or a cat. And I fainted. I just lost it. I was like, this is impossible. How could everybody I know on my single home street, everybody be gone? I crawled around in the cement and found a marking from when we had marked the cave, a curb. And so I say all of that to say that whatever sense of normalcy I thought I might pursue was impossible in the reality of an entire community wiped out on our watch. And so I hit the streets of Detroit, and that's where I've been. And it's been a blessing. There's, no, I want to go back on that. Let me meditate for a second here. 1, create the space. Create the space for people to come. And what Fred is credited with saying in that movie, wherever there's people, there's power. And for organizers, self-criticism is the most powerful of tools in developing your leadership skills. And the most important thing of all is revolutionary love. Is that I'm not revolutionary because I'm angry. I'm a revolutionary because I love people. I love life. I love freedom. I ain't even got the time to hate the rest of that. I ain't got no time for it. No energy. So also political analysis. understanding the political dynamics that you need to change in order to improve the conditions for your people, but also so that you can understand what can be transformed and what has to go. You need a scientific analysis, and that we have, accessible to us. But several of the organizations have the Hood is watching, street patrols, and other security culture type things. We have Detroit has a unique cultural environment, very, very strong. And so there's quite a bit of security going on, yeah. Primarily, I think we are dependent upon mass training and self-defense. Michigan is an open carry state. So we're advising all legal Black folks to strap up, and women to strap up, get trained, get self-defense classes. So that's.
Yes, right now where we at is we're at the table with about 3 different contractors and more adding onto it. So we're going down a list that we have of over probably about close to 100 plus now of individuals that's interested in actually taking advantage of the process. And we're offering wraparound services along with training as well. So that's actually in the makings right now, and we're doing pretty good with that. We actually, because of the pandemic, some things was like slowed down a little bit, but it's picking back up very quickly as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to touch on to that. We did some research last year, and we looked at the economy in the country, and particularly in Detroit. And we also looked at the huge budget that has been approved over 3 different presidents, and fortunes compiled for the revamping of the infrastructure of the United States. The majority of our cities, of our major cities, have major significant ancient and historical buildings. And many of them are coming down. Whole neighborhoods are coming down. So in Detroit, there's approximately $10 billion worth of construction, remodeling, government contracts, the river, the border, all of this going on. So we're looking at this and saying, hold on, the factory jobs are gone. They're bringing very few of them back. But the construction jobs are plentiful. The careers, the opportunities for business. And we came up with some numbers. In the trades, there are 4 primary areas: brick, plumbing, electrical, carpentry. And carpentry. We talked to the trades, masters and journeymen, and we came up with these numbers: 16 people entering the trades and successfully completing the apprenticeship program have the ability to create a combined income of $1 million. With the vulnerability of the trades, which had been dominated by white privilege, with the vulnerability with this demand, we are talking about the need that it is strategically significant for us to move into the trades, transfer people, help people transition into new trades. You enter a trade in the first year, you have the ability to make somewhere in the area up to, I've seen paperwork where people have done this, made $100,000, $90,000 actually in their first year in the trades, worked hard as hell. So we're looking at that as a rebirth of the Revolutionary Union movement. So yeah, that's now, what do we think, what are we doing? We're identifying the factors that prevent people, that have prevented people of color, including Arab people and others from entering the trades. Language, the language of American trade skills, the culture, white supremacy on the work site, you know? Yeah, I mean, so, but we have, so if we move mass numbers into the trades, then we can take contracts. Plus, it gives us opportunity to participate in mutual aid in a different way, where we can resource even more, and so on. Yeah.
So I can speak on my personal experience this summer. Well, actually not this summer. I've been, as a organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement, which is a transnational organization dedicated to the liberation of all oppressed people. We have been, politically active and educating ourselves throughout this time. But what's important and what's necessary and what I've seen in the streets is to just sit down and read. It's to sit down and to delve into these discussions, into these topics, and to just be a part of the experience, to become proximate to these issues, to make them tangible, right? Because study and Bob Blair, under his mentorship, has time and time again has told me that there's differences between theory and practice. So understanding that even the term activism is a little bit frustrating, right? Because we keep talking about how do we create this term and make it more tactile, more tangible, more, how do we see the results? Instead of just calling people things, how do we see results of this work? So coming into these spaces, it's really important to understand how theory needs to be applied, and not so much as just consumed for political discussion, because, if theory is just sitting out there without any kind of application, which is what I learned all summer we were out in the streets every single day until that had to evolve to something else, correct? So it's recognizing that as you're learning, you're applying to evolve, and you're constantly learning. So that's the advice that I would give.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say, to add to that, is learning is definitely the best way of moving forward. When it comes to the building and understanding and overstanding of the load of information, sometimes, especially for myself, I came to the table and I didn't even know who he was. And I took on a challenge that I was not really knowledgeable in the fullness. And being under his mentorship has definitely taken me to a whole nother world of building and understanding people. I'm a people's person, but not that much of a people's person. I'm an empath, and coming into this work, I feel so much of the pain. I feel so much of the tragedy. I feel so much of the cries behind the eyes. So for myself, it's been a journey. And again, with the political analysis, I feel like we have to understand what that means first. A lot of the individuals that's in the hoods or that's in the urban community don't even know what that means. When they hear political analysis, they just think about the government. They just think about the presidents and just, things in that area. So I feel like if we could come up with some type of way to pierce the community the way that we can see, is to really just bring it down to the level of understanding, and learning the political analysis and how it's active in everything we do can definitely, I feel like, help us all, grow and move towards where we're going in life, which is power for all people and freedom for all.
The math. There are two pieces of math that I'd like to share at this moment. One, that when we look at the race issue in America, we have to understand that it is primarily a class issue. Two, that we outnumber, the righteous outnumber the evil. And that as horrible as it is, the people are the power. And that this film that's coming out, Judith and the Black Messiah, shows the consequence of evil and the magnificence of an individual contribution to good, and especially how to work out the value of that with a political analysis. So the math, 4 million Africans emancipated approximately 158 years ago. Today, there are approximately 40 to 50 million of us. Many in horrible conditions of existence. Not just 40 or 50 million in 100 and what is it, 58 years, I think it is. But to the youth of today, our struggle is so prolific until we have blown it up. We done turned it up. And our role now is to keep it turned up, to transform our society in revolutionary ways to what we need it to be, what we want it to be, whatever that is. So it's, if I'm a model of longevity and perseverance, it's a model so that you know that you can persevere and that you can get to a place where you can see the victory. And to see it, and you can see the victory.
Thank you so much. That's really so much food for thought from Blair Anderson. And now we're gonna come home to Madison, Wisconsin and change things up. We're gonna welcome Christopher D. Sims, new to Madison, renewed to Madison, and he's gonna share some poetry and music. Take it away, Christopher.
Button, ready, go.
Peace. Yeah, this is Christopher D. Sims, poet, spoken word performer, artist, actor, model, all those beautiful things. Glad to be here in Madison, Wisconsin for the second time to rock and roll and contribute to the community. And here's some spoken word poetry for you. But first I'll play my flute. We need powerful, empowering poetry. Poetry that promotes positivity. Poetry that encourages people to progress. Poetry that gives birth to revolution. We need poetry that puts on black berets, black dashikis, black pants, and black boots. Poetry that raises up, raises his fist to run after the oppressor to oppose their rendering racism, sexism, homophobia. Poetry that gives birth to revolution. Black folk need poetry that gangsters the grime in the ghetto. Poetry that gathers gutless men, guiltless children, and graceless women to guide them back to greatness. Poetry that disintegrates crack and evaporates alcohol so that we don't continue to fall into destruction. Poetry that gives birth to revolution. The world needs poetry that puts an end to poverty, to starvation, to homelessness, to AIDS, to cancer, to dehumanization, to mass incarceration, to price inflation, to politics that devours this nation, pins us up, puts us up against the wall. Poetry that makes us fall and fall and fall and fall. We need poetry for all, poetry for equity, poetry for something that is similar to equal, poetry that gives birth to revolution, and that's poetry, poetry, poetry for the people. Poetry that gives birth to revolution. Poetry that gives birth to revolution. Okay, so I'm going to find another poem, another piece here. Give me a second. It's good to be rocking and rolling in Madison once again. And this piece is for an ancestor, Amiri Baraka, who taught me how to write social justice poetry. Amiri Baraka is the former poet laureate of the state of New Jersey. He's deceased. Ras Baraka, the infamous mayor out of Newark, New Jersey. That's his dad, that's his pop. So shout out to Ras Baraka. And most definitely, Amiri Baraka, my main man all the time. I am probably being followed online by the CIA because I have listened to your poems on YouTube. You were just that, a revolutionary. You were just that powerful of a poet, my teacher. My teacher. You were a speaker, a guider whose soul was on fire. You taught me how to write social justice spoken word poetry. You helped me find my voice. You helped me reach out for the microphones, and educate white liberals, activists, organizers, novices who were unaware of this country's injustices. I would park myself at a table at Borders to sit quietly with the Amiri Baraka reader. One evening while doing so, I found your poem, Black Art. It sparked all of the rage against the machine I had sleeping in me. It was sleeping in me. Your words spoke to me in profound ways, displayed a fighter-like approach I needed at the moment. As an opponent of bigotry and racism, your words have fire, passion, vision, and even as you rest in peace, your peace still guides me. Your fire still pushes me. Your ability to say the truth stays in my ear. I approach marches, protests, spoken word performances, travels, eager audiences, hip hop and jazz beats without fear. The education of the poet known as Christopher D. Sims happened as soon as I was introduced to your phenomenal work, which sought to hurt the system, what you penned helped me give birth to a word warrior literature, such as We need powerful, empowering poetry, poetry that promotes positivity, poetry that encourages people to progress, poetry that gives birth to revolution. Your contributions to my social justice practices and poems came after evenings with the perfect scenery, green tea, as well as the ability to see what it meant to truly live, to write for the people, to write for the people. I am your poetical disciple with words blasting out of my mouth like bullets from a rifle, like bullets from a rifle. I am your dedicated pupil who uses words musical to imagine a different world. You are still my sensei as I remain a student who is committed to mastering the art of projecting action words at injustices. Your 70s blues prose and hypnotic bebop is the predecessor to my new age lyrical hip hop. Your pages help me arrive on stages. Your catalogs is ageless. A young poet will ask me one day, what is your secret syllable, sire? I will say graciously, happily, it was the drum in Amiri Baraka's soul that helped me remain in control of the rhythm, our rhythm, the rhythm of 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 our rhythm. Peace and blessings, Amiri Baraka. Peace, peace. Peace, Sensei.
Christopher. And now we're going to come back and hear more about our local chapter of the Black Panthers. There's so much cool Madison work going on, of course. There's a lot of organizing all the time, and we celebrate it beyond Black History Month. So you'll hear in future episodes, we'll hear from Allied Community Co-op with Alice Howard. We'll celebrate the work that's being done with the Wisconsin Youth Arts Center, and William White's Free Soul on the Radio in Madison, and Willie Triplett's African American Seal Coding, and John Brown's Unify Madison, and on and on. And for now, we're going to hear from Florenzo Cribbs with Madison Black Panthers.
On January 9th, 2020, we got the blessing from King Rick, who's the national director of the original Black Panthers. He gave us the blessing on, so on January 9th was when we started our chapter here in Madison. Now there's, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, I think there's 17 chapters of the original Black Panthers, because 2 just opened up. One in North Carolina, one in South Carolina just opened up about a week ago. And I mean, we've been doing everything from backpack drives. We during this pandemic, we've passed out food. We've made chili and given out blankets that we have had donated. We've also been involved in a few different legal things around town too, like when the young lady got ran over by that race soldier downtown, and the police gave him a $600 bail, and he wasn't charged with a hate crime. We made sure that they reversed that charge and gave him the right charge for that crime. You know, like, we just out here, you know, for the people, as our forefathers were. You know, we are for the voiceless. So I mean, to date we got to date in Madison we have 8 members. But I mean, Madison is a whole nother different kind of place. I mean, this is the absolutely weirdest town I've ever lived in. You know, I mean, it's a college town.
Yeah.
But it's liberal, but it's pretty much only liberal in my opinion, it's only liberal on campus and the east side of Madison, Willie Street, the Williamson Street area. The rest of the city is interesting, and as you know, Wisconsin is you know, Time Magazine voted Wisconsin the worst place in the United States for African Americans to live in.
No doubt.
You know, hyper racist, like Milwaukee is the most segregated city in the country. You know, like it's like DC almost. You could walk from one really nice neighborhood and walk right into the hood.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so yeah, we doing a members drive right now, but you know, we not in a hurry because we don't want just anybody. You know, we need to follow the pedigree of the person that's coming in, because I mean, infiltration is one of those things you got to watch for. If you're not paying attention, they're gonna be right there under your nose. So I need to know who I'm hanging out with. No, because at some point my family comes around. I need to know who I'm bringing my children around.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely agree in security culture as a primary pillar in the struggle. You know, security of our family, security of ourselves, security of our community. And you know, initially the name of the original Black Panther Party was the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense.
Yeah, we have an initiative that we're working on right now where we are going to some of the terrorized neighborhoods in the city, and we are offering our free security. If something happens, you know, a lot of people in impoverished neighborhoods, you know, they don't feel comfortable calling the police. So instead of calling the police, we have a hotline that they can call where we'll come. You know, the only thing that derailed it a little bit was this pandemic, because it's hard to get places. We can't have the meetings that a lot of things that we were intending to do, you know, we can't gather. So, and some things that we want to talk about, we don't want to talk about on social media, on the phone. You feel me? Like, it's certain things that need to be closed off to the public, I mean, to the average public, and no cell phones involved. You know, because as you'll see, if you saw the trailer for that movie coming out, Judas and the Black Messiah, you saw where the guy, I guess he was supposed to be, I'm almost guessing he was supposed to be J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, where he said we have to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. Well, I mean, that's still, COINTELPRO is not dead. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It's not history. It's still current events. You know, like the divide and conquer concept is still in existence. You know, like before I joined the Panthers, I used to talk to a couple of the activists, Black activists in this town, and I would tell them, you are doing a disservice to you and your people when you argue on social media. Stop attacking each other, because they like that. It shows a disunity, that it shows them that they working, they doing their job. They don't want us to come together for whatever reason, you know. And although they want to stop the rise of a Black Messiah, they definitely okay with the white savior concept, that we need to be saved by somebody who's not us. And at the end of the day, we don't. You know, I was always taught the main helping hand you need is at the end of your arm. If you don't help you, how can I help you? This decision, it didn't come lightly, you know, for me to join, because I know what I could be giving up. But at the end of the day, I want my children to know that, you know, that their father stood for something. He didn't fall for anything, you know, because they say if you don't stand for something.
Thanks. We can learn a lot more from the Black Panthers past and present and future. The film that they referred to, Judas and the Black Messiah, we're going to see about participating in a group viewing, and at least if we can't do that, we'll be having a group discussion. So in Humans United and Mutual Aid Networks, we have solidarity summits every quarter. And so the next one, I think in March, we'll have Blair Anderson and Florenzo Cribbs and other people involved in the Black Panther movement and the movement to displace the prison industrial complex. So look forward to that. And you can always find information about that stuff on mutualaidnetwork.org. And now that we've celebrated Black history and some of the current efforts toward having a brighter future, we'll celebrate a little Black futures to close out the show. So you're gonna see from Kior Delphine, one of my 2 favorite little children in the whole world, along with her sister Daisy. Hello, if you're watching. Black futures, let's celebrate.